Thank you. Okay. It's the first time I'm on a stage with so many people. And I had a unique opportunity and pleasure to be the first one. Actually, before I start, I wanted to mention that I can see that my topic today is slightly different from what we are going to discuss in the next 2 days. But I hope it makes sense for you. So I called it Make Serialization Great. Before we go into this topic, I want to briefly describe Lundbeck. So we have a purpose, the purpose, and I'm not going to rephrase it. So we are tirelessly dedicated to restoring brain health so every person can be at their best. So we are a brain health company. If we look at our key figures, I think we need to mention these three. These are related to the topic and serialization. So we are over 5,000 people in the company, and we have over 1,000 in headquarters in Denmark. And this is for you to understand if Lundbeck is bigger or smaller than the companies you're coming from. We are supplying to more than 100 countries, and that means that we are covering most of the countries where serialization is a requirement. And with 50 affiliates or representatives with 50 countries, it is a quite big serialization network we need to deal with. Before we going into the topic, I want to briefly mention what serialization setup we have at Lundbeck. So I joined Lundbeck a bit more than 3 years ago to make serialization great. And I actually joined serialization a bit over 5 years ago. What I love about serialization is that it is a great opportunity to actually develop and shape my role, and that is what I have been doing so far. So at the moment, I'm a global serialization manager at Lundbeck, and I do many things. So I work with serialization governance. So that is everything about budgets, strategy, project portfolios. Then I'm also acting as a project manager for some critical projects whenever needed. I work on improvement and optimization of processes. And if needed, I also do some operational support. And on the top of that, I'm also a contact for external partners and responsible for their onboarding. So why it's related? It is related to the whole topic. We actually have some specific setup at Lundbeck. So we have various specialists across the organization, and we have a small serialization team. So it is me and the serialization project driver, who we are actually searching for at the moment. We have an extended serialization team with IT, a production engineer, and also a quality specialist. And we have a fantastic organization across the whole company who are helping us with serialization. So today, that was about Lundbeck, and today I'm going to discuss something what is more an overall analysis rather than what we see at Lundbeck, just for you to know. Agenda. So we will briefly discuss where we are. Then I want to look into 3 elements of serialization. It is organization, knowledge, and people. And also I want to talk a bit about what is coming in the future. So where are we? To talk about where we are, I want to briefly look at the title, Make Serialization Great. I brought this phrase 2 years ago when I was presenting here, and I had 2 years to think about that. And actually the question, what came to me first was, okay, what does it mean? actually. And I have to tell you, I'm not going to answer this question today. It is a philosophical discussion with a lot of concrete actions. So what I want to focus on is these three elements, what you saw from the agenda. That is the organization, what functions, knowledge in-house, and the right people. So where are we? We have started with big projects, and the biggest ones have been completed. We probably have sustainable and working processes and organization. We definitely have new challenges, but with all the experience, we can definitely handle them. New markets, nothing new coming there. It's probably a set of the same or similar requirements to previous ones. And also, with all this experience, we can handle operations and issue handling. The end. And we happily live ever after. Anyone who can relate to that? Okay. I'm glad we have at least 1, 2 who are very positive about that. Yes. So actually, with the rest, we are in the same boat. So we still have big projects. Oops, that was the wrong slide. We still have big projects. We need to keep maintenance of processes and organization. We definitely have new people, and we need to have new people for all the new changes. We have markets who are coming with shorter deadlines, and actually issues are still there. So that's what we need to do. So this is a slide from 2020. We started from enabling supply. So it was a matter of compliance, being compliant. And from that, we moved to standardization. So that was about bringing quality to the serialization setup. And what I was talking about last time was operational excellence. So advancing our setup in the organizations, make it lean. And since that, I decided that we need to look a bit into what we are having now. So what I would call is that now we have all the projects, changes, and activities still. And we still need to hire, train, and maintain people and to support all the processes and all the needs we have. So if talking about the agenda, probably in the past you have worked on the serialization organization, so it's already built. But what we are looking into right now is knowledge in-house and getting the right resources. So organization. To classify organization types, I decided to simplify it to 2 categories. The first one is centralized, where we have a core team or some core teams depending on the market. And then there are some area specialists who are supporting serialization processes. There is also a decentralized type of organization. And that means that we have serialization specialists full-time or most of their time work is sitting in various parts of the organization and supporting the global serialization process. So there are benefits and some development areas in both of them. I will focus only on the benefits because in general I want to keep it positive. So first of all, if we have a centralized team working on serialization, it is about concentrated knowledge and better ways to knowledge exchange. And usually these people have a physical location. They are in one physical location and they have close collaboration. And here what is important is that they are a team. So from the organization point of view, it's much easier to work with the team when it's one team. And if we look at the decentralized organization, this setup is also happening in some companies. So there are benefits of that one. So specialists are sitting across different business units. We have definitely knowledge, serialization knowledge closer to serialization, so they can go to their colleagues and spread this knowledge. And then we have also different profiles, what we see in serialization, what actually fit their own areas. And you can find the both benefits and gaps of both types of serialization of organization. But what is important to mention here that serialization is a pure example for knowledge management theory. So what we need to focus is to ensure that we have tacit knowledge moved into explicit. And regardless of what type of organization you have, it's all about sharing, it's all about eliminating silos, and collaboration from networks. So I believe that serialization is about networks. Yes? So networks help us to get the knowledge. There are classic ways to get serialization knowledge, and you know all of them. So the first one is training programs. That's happening everywhere. What's important to remember about training programs in serialization is that in order to prepare a good training program, you need to have either a training specialist or a person who knows serialization, and it's usually two different people. So creating a training program in serialization requires collaboration between those who know how to do training programs and those who know serialization. Your training programs will be probably different depending on if you prepare it for cross-functional training or functional training, so that is the complexity. And in terms of training programs, you need to have specialists who will be running them, because it cannot be just digital training. So we need to make sure that our colleagues or employees have time for that. Another way to get the knowledge, and this is all pretty classic, right? So by doing. I call it the hard way. It's also possible to learn serialization by just being part of all the activities, but that takes longer time than training. Then we also need other people available, so they need to be there to train your new people to serialization. And when we talk about this type of work, it is about keeping the stress down, because there is a lot of unknown. Learning by doing is okay, but then people face a lot of unknown issues. And finally, our favorite one is SOPs and work instructions. I'm sure you have already prepared all of that. And that cannot be the only way to learn about serialization. So that needs to be combined. Then are we sure that we have written down everything, what needs to be written down? And do we actually believe that it will ever stop? So we'll always need to update our serialization documentation. What I need to mention here is actually our favorite topic is having consultants in serialization. So there are definitely benefits on consultants. First of all, they solve ad hoc issues all the time. They definitely have time to train your internal employees in serialization. They take projects, and they also have this can-do attitude, what we need very much in serialization, because they just take anything what is coming. There are related challenges to this setup. So first of all, when you don't have consultants there, your internal employees need to face all these issues. Then when you need to train your people, you actually need to have people to be trained. If we're talking about projects, at some point projects need to be taken internally, and your internal PM should start as soon as possible, because having a successful project means that you, as a project manager, you understand a bit of serialization. And finally, when consultants are out, all this can-do attitude needs to be found internally. So as you can hear, I'm mentioning this internal. So this is important. So in addition to that, on the top, consultants are also people. They change jobs, so they suddenly disappear from your projects. Well, it's definitely much more cost to have consultants, and if you have a budget with no limit, it's good, but there are many companies who don't have that. And actually what I have seen so far is that there are also new people to serialization in consulting world, and basically you need to train your consultants to help you with serialization. So this is why I insist, and have always insisted on investing in internal employees. Of course, we have vendors who support us in all the activities, but the sooner you start looking into internal employees, the better. This is a very clever thought here. So onboarding of an employee with prior serialization experience takes time. Onboarding of an employee with no serialization experience takes a lot of time. And any other strategy, if you go into any other direction, will cost you more. And it's not only about money. So I have been talking about the knowledge, but it's very important to actually mention the people, because people are the ones who are bearing the knowledge. We have some serialization needs, business needs, and then depending on that, we have some roles, what we need to fill in. So what is the standard profile in serialization of a serialization person? So of course, ideally, we would want to have someone who has extensive serialization knowledge. That is impossible to find. I don't know if you have the same experience. Then we need this person to be detail-oriented, because serialization is a heavy knowledge area. In addition to that, we need someone who is definitely not afraid of managing some operational stuff, which is popping up here and there. On the opposite, you need this person also understand the high-level overview and end-to-end serialization processes and dependencies, because it all falls into one big process. Ideally, you would also want this person to have project management skills, because there are projects all the time, some smaller, bigger projects, and that requires a bit of skill set. And last but not least, we actually need someone who has a flair for both IT and actually business. And these sometimes two different people. So that's not the full list, but that's something what I highlighted, and that's something what we are trying to find now at Lundbeck. So if you talk to HR in your company, they will probably say that these are actually four different people. Because that requires a different way of thinking, different profiles, temperament. So this is your challenge. And actually, what our challenge is in the smaller organizations, maybe not bigger, is that you need to fit that in 1 or 2 FTEs. Do you have the same? Or it's working in your organizations? Too many? Too many FTEs? 1 FTE. Yes. Okay. So we have the business needs, and we have different roles, covering some serialization activities, full-time or part-time. So it is managers, project managers, IT specialists, quality people, co-serialization specialists, right? The ones who are full-time allocated to that, and also area specialists. And all of them need to have some kind of these skills to make it work. In addition to that, on the top again, the rotation rate should be low, Because if you have people changing jobs all the time, it will be an issue for everyone. Because, again, we need to talk about knowledge and training. What is probably important here is that in serialization teams, you also need to have some kind of career for those who are doing serialization, because nowadays people want development and they want promotions. So there should be development opportunities within serialization, otherwise you have your core specialist out of serialization or your company. And what I mentioned already today is that there are always new people to serialization, and that's what we have to deal with. I hope you have the same. Not I hope, actually, I hope you don't, but I hope you can relate to that. So last 2 years ago, I was talking about serialization heroes. And basically, the expectation is that they can do everything, all of that, and they also deliver on time. It may be a bit of exaggeration, but really, is it? So with all these challenges or questions, what is the future? I have been talking about, as I feel it, I have been talking about problems. And this is a bit surprising because this presentation has come to to Germany from one of the happiest nations in the world. It's Denmark. And in order to proceed, I want to use the quotes of these two gentlemen. So Will Smith is talking about that there is no problem you can have that someone hasn't already solved, and wrote about it in a book. He definitely hasn't heard anything about serialization. So what is the future for knowledge in-house? It will become more stable and integrated into serialization. We already see that, this development, so it's going in the right direction. It will be easier to transfer story. We'll have experience with that. And we will definitely have less new or not known issues. And if anyone is writing a book about serialization, please let me know. The right people. Talent hunt will continue. I hope it will be easier. Let's see how it goes. Provided that we hire new people, there will be definitely more people with serialization knowledge, so even if they leave their jobs, they will spread a bit here and there. So that will be not tangible, but it will work. And I think with all the challenges we have, we'll have these serialization heroes with this skill set, serialization hero skill set. And here I also wanted to mention Henry Ford. He is talking about people because people are the ones who are moving everything forward. So what is the future? About organization that functions. I have flown from Denmark to Germany. And in Denmark we have this term, Arbejdsglæde, which is actually about happiness at work. It's a very popular topic in Denmark right now. So what I hope will happen is that in the future we'll have this setup where instead of coming to people and they seeing their reaction like, oh, serialization changes again, what's now? We'll go into a bit more happier setup, so people will be able to stay longer. When we have happy employees and happy colleagues, we will they will deliver more, and the quality will be higher. And they will be open to new challenges. And here I mean tasks, not just going somewhere else. So, with all that, making serialization great, I believe, among all other things what we are going to discuss in the next 2 days, is about the right people, knowledge in-house, and happy organizations. And I was thinking about this, making serialization great. So I think I decided to change it. We'll make it sustainable. And that is what will make it great. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
Are you available as a consultant?
Denmark-based. Don't tell my manager.
Any questions from the audience?
We have a microphone here in the center, so if you have a question,
Marcel?
you can use it. Of course, I can.
Alain, I really want to thank you for your excellent presentation. You told me yesterday that you were afraid that it was a topic. I think it's really fitting. What I want to add is that in your presentation you were saying about standardization we are done. I think that's not right, because we are, so I know that the work that I'm doing, and we still have a lot of things to do to harmonize standardization in the world. Because APEC is coming, LATAM is coming, others. And I think what a lot of people is not realizing, we have just serialized maybe 10% of the world, and 90% still has to be done. And in those countries, there are a lot of discussions about standardization and different things. India is thinking about going in different directions. We are still working in Indonesia with and against QR codes, GS1 codes, etc. And then, of course, you have the work that we are doing in OpenSCS, as you know. So I think there's still a lot of things to do, and also the organizations need to be prepared of. And another thing is what I want to give you also as a lesson learning, also for the others. We are still in the beginning of the digital transition, and serialization will be a key role in that. And the integration of the systems, so the current system serialization are standalone systems, but in the future we will need much more integration. So therefore we need to prepare our organization. But all the rest what you were saying about knowledge sharing, I'm very, very great. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Marcel.
So the only thing what I want to add is, tell your HR department, if somebody looking for a lifetime long job, serialization is great. You heard it. The only thing what I question is the happiness factor. Mm-hmm. Because I think, we all know that it's very complicated. So I think you have to find a better hobby for the work-life balance. Don't look it for serialization. Thanks for the presentation. Yeah. And I'm excited what you tell us next year, how you got the new people on board, because that's something what I think we're all struggling with.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.